The lecture circuit of the Air Brazilian Chamber of Commerce hosted economist and former Secretary of Economic Policy of the Ministry of Finance, José Roberto Mendonça de Barros, who presented the perspectives for the national and international economy in 2014.
A ideia é de tratar do cenário internacional e depois do cenário brasileiro.
The idea is to discuss the international scenario and then the Brazilian scenario. Within the international scenario, we have a very important event that occurred at the beginning of this year, which became a problem for a few emerging countries, such as the Ukraine, for example, which was the order of the day, and led to a moment of uncertainty and a certain loss of short-term investments in emerging markets. At the same time, the recovery experienced by the United States made the dollar increase in value and caused a devaluation of the real. And, lastly, in the petroleum sector, these international events kept the price of petroleum relatively high, which is positive for exporting countries. Here in Brazil, the beginning of the year was marked by an unusual phenomenon of an unprecedented drought and elevated temperatures that reduced the water levels in the reservoirs and increased the use of thermal electricity and the price of energy, which has had a bit of an impact on business. At the same time, agricultural production has been affected, which led various agricultural prices to increase, such as the price of coffee, for example, resulting in a recent inflationary pressure that is causing the Central Bank of Brazil to keep interest rates high. This will cause internal activity to become relatively weaker, and we have to remember that this is a year of political transition, since there are elections at the end of this year. The one positive aspect in this scenario is that of exporters, because the process of devaluation of the real improves the outlook for exporters, and we hope that the export sector will tend to improve, or rather, to compensate for part of this weakening of the internal market. The scenario and the agenda for Brazil in the next few years is one of a more rapid recovery of investments in order to increase growth once again. Companies have a fundamental role in this scenario because business models are changing, so it is very important for each company to examine the changes occurring in their own sectors in the coming years, such as a devaluation of the real that may possibly require a certain adaptation of their business models in order to continue growing.
Uma certa adaptação dos seus modelos de negócio para continuar com o progresso.